Hi, folks. We're about to get started. If everyone could settle down a little bit. Thanks so much.
I'm sorry? Oh, okay. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you. Ready? Yeah. What? I think we're just starting.
Okay. I just keep feeling like people keep coming up to me.
I know, like literally get away from me.
Good evening. Good evening and welcome. Woo! All right. My name is Saritha Gupta and I'm the Executive Director of Jobs with Justice and the Co-Director of Caring Across Generations.
And I'm Alicia J., a co-founder and the Managing Director of the Make It Work campaign.
We are so happy to welcome you all to the Where We Go From Here, a women's town hall and reception. Today's march was an incredible gathering, right? It was an incredible gathering of women from all across the country, you know, coming together to make our power known, right? And make our power known not only to ourselves and one another, but to this new administration, right? Because we're ready to stand up and fight for the rights of all women. Are you with me? And we know we need to fight for this democracy and the values that we hold dear. I want to take a moment right now to thank, really thank the national chairs and the organizers of the march. Let's give a huge round of applause. They are incredible leaders, and I also want to do a special shout out to Claire Hoffman, whose idea it was to do this very town hall tonight.
We are hosting this event as a way to connect participants from the Women's March to the women's organizations that push for change day in and day out. We need your help, we need your voices, and we need your passion. So let's now hear it for all of you that turned out and stood up to march today.
Yeah! We have an incredible lineup planned for this evening, including a great conversation between two amazing leaders, a unique performance, and an incredible panel of dynamic speakers we're so lucky to have with us. But first, we want to hear more from you.
So please turn to the person next to you, introduce yourself, and quickly say why you marched. You do this and then bring it up. Okay.
Yep. Time it like 30 more seconds.
Yeah.
30 more seconds. Terrific. Let's come back together. Let's come on back together. So we want to hear more from you. Are you ready? But before we find out who's really in this room, I want to take a minute to point out that there were 1.3 million of us marching in DC today. And that, my friends, was just the number for DC. We had millions more in motion in other parts of this country as well as around the world. This was the largest inaugural protest demonstration in history. That's right. And for many cities across the country, this was the largest march that they have had in their city's history. It's incredible. So given that there's so much to celebrate, let's take a second and let's find out who all is in this room. So let's hear you clap if you're from out of town. Nice. All right, some folks from out of town. Now let's hear if you're from the West Coast only. All right. Excellent, that is amazing. How about the South? All right. Okay, let's hear the Midwest. Excellent. And let's hear the East Coast. We know there were so many people marching today. We had moms and daughters and grandmothers and aunts and uncles and fathers and brothers. It was amazing. So let's hear from you if you are a mom. Excellent. It is amazing that you're all here, and we're so thrilled to continue our program this evening. So we believe, I just want to say, that it's important to have equity between different languages so that everyone can participate fully in what happens here. This program will be interpreted simultaneously in Spanish, and we are grateful for the organizers and the interpreters and for all of you for helping us see through this commitment.
A few quick housekeeping notes. We want all of you to make sure you are taking care of yourselves and taking care of each other during this program. Feel free to get food, to get drinks, to go to the restroom, whatever you need to do. And quick note, if you are still looking for a seat, there is seating in the balconies right up on the sides here.
Oh, it sounds like people are moving.
There we go. Perfect. Okay, now let's get started. We are so lucky to be kicking off our program with two of the strongest voices of the women's movement today. A truly historic moment that we are all so lucky to be here to witness. Alicia Garza is the Special Projects Director for the National Domestic Workers Alliance and one of the co-founders of Black Lives Matter. She is credited with helping to spark and maintain one of the most vibrant and bold social movements of our time, a leader whose bright light is only continuing to shine more and more brilliantly. And of course, Gloria Steinem needs no introduction. She is the feminist leader who is as well known for earning her pedestal that we put her on as she is for empowering the people around her to stand right next to her on that pedestal. Please welcome to the stage, in conversation with one another, Alicia Garza and Gloria Steinem.
How's everybody feeling? So we just finished an incredible, incredible march. And did anybody else feel the power that was everywhere? Did y'all feel that? Yes. I woke up this morning, I was like, I'm not sure. Who knows what's gonna happen? And then the energy was live, right? So what we're gonna do tonight is have a conversation about the significance of what happened today, but also we're gonna talk about the significance of women's organizing in reshaping our democracy, in building the kind of power that we need, and we're also gonna have a conversation about what we can do now. This is the most important question of this moment. Am I right? So first, I just want to kick it off by asking you, Gloria, can you tell us a little bit about your perspective on how women's organizing and activism has contributed to reshaping our democracy?
Just a little thing.
Just a little thing, you know.
Just a little thing like that.
You know, just a little something, something.
Well, I think a lack of democracy and a lack of equality inhabits us too. You know, systems of discrimination wouldn't work if they weren't internalized.
That's right.
So for me, it was suddenly realizing, courtesy of a variety of other women in the late 60s and early 70s, who were challenging the way things ran, and I suddenly realized, wait a minute, I am not crazy, the system is crazy. So this is deep, right? So the first step is often, you know, we're all different, but I think speaking for ourselves. And I wonder why we don't do that in the beginning, because I think little kids do, as we were saying to each other. You know, I think kids are born saying, it's not fair, you are not the boss of me. And if we could just keep that, you know, that's the source of every social justice movement. But people, especially little girls who are told, you know, right, and especially people of color, and you know, they're not encouraged to speak that. That's right. But without that, there's no democracy. Without democratic families, there's no democracy. So for a woman to make democracy in her family and be clear that she is an example of equality and that her kids are being treated equally, that's huge. That builds all the way up.
That's powerful. That's super powerful. So, you know, the way that I got started in organizing was when I was 12. I got started organizing in the reproductive justice movement because my mom was a single mother, and I, at a young age, had a real sense of the hardships that she was balancing, being a single woman trying to raise a girl child and try to make ends meet. And the way I got involved, quite honestly, was about a fight that was happening in my school district about whether or not they should provide contraception in school nurses' offices.
So wait a minute, so you're a 12-year-old.
12-year-old.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a 12-year-old.
And what gave you the courage to do that?
Well, quite honestly, I didn't want anybody else to not have the freedom to make choices over their own life. And it seemed really basic to me that if people had the tools and the resources they needed to make good decisions for themselves, then their lives would be better.
Listen, this is called Why it took me like another maybe 25 years to get to where she was at 12, you know.
So, you know, I've been reflecting today, especially because I'm conscious of the fact that there are so many people for whom today's march was their first march. How many people in here, today was the first time you marched?
It's like your first love. You will never forget it.
Can we just welcome those folks who raised their hands? Can we welcome you? We want to say a special welcome to you to the movement that's going to take our country back. So here's my question for you. How did you get involved in activism? And for you, what would you say to folks whose first time it is here about, you know, what they should know about getting involved in activism?
Well, in my case, I think I identified with lots of other groups or individuals who were having a tough time before I realized I was having a tough time, because there really was no women's movement visible when I was growing up. So, you know, it was the Vietnam War, it was fairness in my neighborhood, it was a poor neighborhood, it was, I don't know, you know, it was all kinds of things. And it wasn't until about 1971, which I think was the date of the first march down Fifth Avenue, the first big women's march down Fifth Avenue, that I ever felt that I was included. I mean, for instance, you know, yes, we would march against the war, but some of our male friends would be saying, take her off and fuck her, take her, you know, I mean, you know, okay, it wasn't exactly ours. But the March on Fifth Avenue was ours, and it was like a miniature version of today, because there were people joining us. I mean, you know, we were in, of course, a relatively isolated area here, but in New York, you're walking down Fifth Avenue. So we're yelling, join us, join us. And, you know, saleswomen from the Woolworths or something, and cleaning women from the buildings, because it was in the evening. You know, all kinds of people were just joining us. It was just so amazing. And then we had a big rally in the park behind the New York Public Library, which a lot of you know, right? So, you know, it was the realization that it could be different for me. You already knew that, right? But it took me a while. and that I could see how it could be different. Because Shirley Chisholm was already in the House of Representatives. And Bella Abzug was already running for Congress, and I could work in her campaign. So I had a place to put my energy. I had women to reach out to.
So Shirley Chisholm and you and Angela Davis. You all are all fantastic examples of how women's activism and organizing has changed the course of history. What do you think the role of women is today in changing the direction that our country is headed in?
Anything you fucking well please. But I do think it. Sorry, I don't know what comes over me. Okay.
The realist. She kept it trill.
But I do think sometimes that we understand fairness for everyone else before we understand it for ourselves. You know, I was always going to write a book called "It's Probably Only Me," but you know, we need to understand that for ourselves it's important, and also as an example. Every time we walk past a mirror and we criticize our bodies, a girl is watching, right? And if we allow unfairness in how chores are distributed in our household, whoever it is that's making up that household, then kids grow up thinking that that's normal and natural. If we have different social rules about freedom, then people think that, you know, one part of the big importance of women organizing is that we are the makers of the first political unit that we experience in life, and that is the family.
That was powerful.
But, you know, tell me, I don't want to leave you there as a 12-year-old, okay? So I want to know.
It's been a long time since I was 12.
You know, I'm so frustrated because there are so many people I run into who don't understand that Black Lives Matter was founded by 3 young women. I keep telling them, right?
Yes, indeed.
So can you tell me how you feel about now being a founder who I think, in all 3 cases, you don't get the credit you deserve?
You know what I'm saying? Well, I'll say this. You know, I had a chance to be with Angela yesterday. And she said something really profound after I gushed for about 15 minutes about how amazing she was and how she changed my life and how I have all her books on my bookshelf and all that stuff. And she said, you know, sure, there's all of my individual accomplishments, but they don't exist without the political community I'm a part of. And so in a lot of ways, yeah, I mean, we only took on that label of co-founder because there were men trying to take our stuff. You know what I mean? You know, they were like, oh, this Black Lives Matter thing is carrying. We did that. And we were like, no, no, no. No, you did not. With that being said, I mean, I have to say that Patrice and Opal and I reached deep into our hearts and tried to express a vision for where we thought our country could go. And if it wasn't for the organizers and activists and freedom fighters in Ferguson, in Baltimore, in Minneapolis, in Chicago, in Paris, in Japan, there would be no Black Lives Matter. And so I just have to be really honest about that. And at the same time, I think there's also something very powerful about making sure that we claim our stories and claim our contributions, because we're always getting written out of history. And right now, folks are trying to write us out of the present and all the way out of the future. And so that's why I marched today, because I want to be able to tell the kids I'm going to have someday that I stood up for them, and I stood up for myself, and I stood up for my mama and my grandmama and all the people that I love. And that's what's important. Yeah.
No, I've noticed something. We are now way off our script
We're good.
anyway. So
No, we're good. Because I got one on deck, you know what I mean? I'm
okay,
ready.
Yeah. No, I've noticed something especially about movements of women in various countries, and that is that there is more effort to divide and conquer them than anyone else except in colonialism. And, the colonial powers, who were, of course, just a few people in a big country in Africa or Asia, were very clearly devoted to dividing the people who were there.
That's right.
Because they couldn't otherwise conquer.
That's right.
And I think also that's kind of peculiar to women's movements here, because we are a movement that is potentially half and more, and no other movement is quite like that.
That's right.
So when questions come at me about divisions in the movement, I always try to stop and think to myself, would they ask this of a guy? Would they ask this about the environmental movement? No. And I think that's important, because otherwise when we're always getting, it's not that we don't have division, we do have division, but otherwise when we get those questions, we internalize the fault.
That's right. Okay, I have one big question and we have 2 minutes, so check this out. There's a big elephant in the room that I think we haven't talked about, which is how do we connect across differences? And how do we address the elephant in this country, which has always been racism and white supremacy? How do we do that so that we can build a powerful movement for all of us? 2 minutes.
2 minutes, okay. Well, I would say the single most important thing is that we know each other. Who do we go to lunch with? Who do we go to the movies with? It's the bell hooks rule. If you buy shoes together, you can organize together.
Hey, come on, bell hooks. Come on with it.
And also, that's in a personal way, that's crucial, because nothing on earth replaces trust, right? Which is one of the rules of Black Lives Matter. And also, it's understanding the reason why there is no such thing as being a feminist without being anti-racist, or being successfully anti-racist without... Because it's all about our wombs. Hello? If we didn't have wombs, we'd be fine. All right. So in order to maintain a racist system in this country, a caste system in India, a deep class system in Japan, for instance, you have to control reproduction, and therefore you have to control the bodies of women. Now, it's important to say that racism affects women differently, all right? White women historically have been more sexually restricted in order to maintain racial purity, which is utter bullshit, since there is no race. But anyway, in order to maintain a visible difference. And women of color, all women of color, have been usually more oppressed in order to produce cheap labor. Right. So we may experience it in different ways, but the truth of the matter is that a racist system will leave no woman free.
Ashe. Ashe. I wish that somebody had told me when I started organizing that even if the movement breaks your heart, keep going. What would you say that you wish somebody had told you when you first got involved in activism?
Well, you make me think when you say that Alice Walker says that breaking your heart is a way of opening it.
Oh.
Not a bad thing.
Ashe. Ashe.
I wish somebody had told me that this was not just a detour from my life, it was my life. Because we live in a culture that says you're supposed to live in a certain way. So I kept saying, oh yes, I'm going to get married and have children and do this, but not right now, So, and the not right now got longer and longer and longer. And if somebody had just said to me, this is going to be your life, I might have saved a little money. I mean, I do now, but then I didn't, right. And just prepared more and taken more pleasure in it, pleasure in the moment, because I kept thinking I was supposed to be someone else and somewhere else.
Everybody, Gloria Steinem.
Steinem and Alicia Garza. And now it is my pleasure to welcome to the stage Tony and Obie Award-winning writer and performer, Sarah Jones.
All right, so how many people here actually know me from anywhere? Okay. Hello. So this is not for you lot, but I just want to say I am so excited to be here tonight. This is beyond. We just heard Gloria Steinem, Alicia Garza. We're here with some of the most brilliant organizers in the country, all of you. Thank you for being here. And I have to say that when I was asked to be here tonight, I sort of thought, you know, what could I have to say? I'm an actor, I'm a performer, but what could I have to say that would really kind of, you know, justify my participation in something like this? And so I thought perhaps a really commanding English accent will help things a bit. And then I thought, no, I just have to get up there and be myself and just... I'm sorry. But what can I tell you? This moment, this is my real voice. We are here to reclaim what progressive patriotism looks like in our own authentic voices. So I'm just gonna stand up here and talk the way I really talk. I do speak the Queen's English. I am from Queens, New York. And I'm so proud to have taken part in this historic, her historic, their historic, our historic day with each of you. And I've brought a few of my friends along. Now, for those who do not know me, I play people of lots of different backgrounds. That's what I do. I did it in a Broadway show called Bridge and Tunnel. I have a new show called, I have a new show called Sell by Date. It's all about women's empowerment, therefore humans' empowerment. And I hope you'll come see it in New York when it's back up. But for now, I've brought it to you. So you're gonna meet a few of my friends. Sometimes sisters got to do it for themselves. So I'm going to bring up a few of my friends who are so excited to meet you, and they kind of look like the diversity of this room. So if you will welcome them with a little applause, they'll come out and tell you how much they love you.
Hi there, everybody. Oh, my goodness. First of all, I didn't need the applause. Oh, right. For the white lady, of course. You like that? That's good. I'm here because of the girl Sarah Jones, who you just met. She's a very nice young black performer. And, yeah, well, you know, she calls herself black. She's really more like a caramel color if you look at her. I don't want to say the wrong thing. I know Black Lives Matter. I understand. Okay? Anyway, my point is to be here. I marched today. You know, Sarah, that's, well, with my hip, you can't really call it marching, but I moved with the crowd. Okay. I tried it out. Anyway, the point is that in all seriousness, as you just heard on this stage, the power to reclaim our lives is in our own hands. And I want you to take this very seriously because I'm one of the oldest people in this room. Listen, you'll understand when you're my age. My own mother didn't have the right to vote in this country. Think about that. Okay, and much less to make decisions about family planning, about self-determination. So to think I have lived to see this room, this full, this passionate, all of these young people, to watch them marching today, I'm getting a little verklempt, I am. But I want to tell you this, some of these young girls, so determined, they're 12 and 13 years old. And then I thought to myself, my God, I think I have candies in my purse older than 12 or 13. But these young girls are our future, and you are our future. Now, 4 years can go by fast or it can go by slow. If you take action every single day, right where you stand, with the power you have in your community, it'll go by a lot quicker. So I'm with you, I salute you, and congratulations on being leaders in your communities. Mazel tov. Mwah.
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Nereida. I'm so excited to be here right now. Okay, I'm trying not to be nervous and everything. First of all, I wore my red scarf because Alicia Garza had her red scarf on, and there she is, and Gloria was wearing red too, and I was like trying to be part of like a theme, but then it kind of like didn't work out because we're not like all here at the same time, but just try to remember, picture them sitting here and then picture me and mine right now. You don't have to picture me because I'm standing here. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little bit nervous. Okay. And I'm just gonna rewind. So, I just wanna start by saying, you know, especially as a Latina in this room, and thank you. Gracias. ¿Dónde están? Mis hermanas. A la lucha, juntos, con nosotros, todos. Okay, let me say this right now. First of all, brush up on your Spanish every day, just as a resistance act if you don't speak Spanish. Por eso, sí se puede, claro. Sí se puede, sí se puede, sí se puede. Eso. Tan bonito, right? It's beautiful. Anyway, so I don't really have a lot of time. I was just coming up here, I was so excited, and then I was nervous, and then you guys, like, I fell in love with you, and now it's all beautiful. Anyway, what I really wanted to say is that I'm a student, and you know, there's a lot of people, they will underestimate me because that I have an accent, or that, you know, they don't understand, like, oh, actually that means you speak 2 languages. Maybe you're like really, really smart. But that I just want to say that we are all here moving together, and that is where our power is. Poder. Let me say this, that every time someone will underestimate me, I try to remember to just like calm down and say those 3 little words that always make me feel better. Sotomayor, Sotomayor, Sotomayor. So I just want to encourage everybody here, find your own personal mantra and use it while you're doing the work to continue to move us forward. Como decimos, pa'lante siempre. That means like, let's keep it moving forward, everybody. Gracias a todos. ¡Mua! Muchísimas gracias. Well, first I want to thank everyone here for being such a lively bunch. You're fantastic. Wonderful, that energy, it's really great. And I have to say, first of all, as a woman of South Asian descent, it can be difficult, okay? And I was not only very pleased that Sarah Jones told me today we will be participating in this, but I must tell you that as a lawyer, I am working on behalf of human rights of women and girls. And we know that there are those who are quite confused. In fact, typically my work, it does bring me to Washington, D.C., where I used to attend meetings, mingling with some male politicians who are trying to make me feel comfortable by telling how often they are eating the curry in Georgetown. Fortunately, or perhaps unfortunately, I think we have reached a point with the current government that these are people who won't even try to appear to have the semblance of interest in people unlike themselves. But that is why we will work outside them. We will work around them. We will work in the cracks that they don't even know are there, and we will continue this fight. And this I want to say, to take that with you when we leave here tonight, that we will be taking those actions, and we are taking that quite seriously, that this is about the community, also it must be about the self. As you heard, to take the self-care as seriously as you take your organizing. And I mean that I can tell you when I was a young student, I was just starting to get involved with my organizational work. I was also, I was volunteering. I was at the same time trying to plan my own wedding. And let me tell you that this is a Hindu marriage ceremony. So just please picture whatever wedding planning anxiety you can imagine, multiply it by about 5, and add elephants. Literally in my case. But I realized that that pressure that we can take on, that we are trying to be that superwoman and holding up the world on one set of shoulders, ultimately we do not serve our community or ourselves unless we make sure that we do that self-care along with the outer work. So please, don't forget to do that for yourself. Take the time. Right? And I will say it proudly and boldly that it is not only our physical health, it is the mental health. We must take care of our internal and external being so that we can then go and be that light in the world. So I thank you all. That also means enjoyment. So please don't forget, enjoy this here. You are throwing a cracking good party. Okay, have a good night.
Hi, I have to admit, first of all, that so my name is Bella, but I have totally lost track of time because you guys are so rad, and I don't know how much time I have right now. So I'm just gonna the rally was amazing, but also it was a little on the longish side. So I wanna be mindful of all of your time. I just need to get a selfie really quickly though. I'm at where do we go from here right now, and it's amazing. Oh! Okay. So really quickly though, I just want to say, as I mentioned, my name is Bella. I totally do not want to take up an excessive amount of space on this stage as a woman who happens to not be of color. I want to be mindful of my privilege and yeah. So just seriously though, like I was named for like Bella Abzug, who's like a famous like feminist from like history, obviously. And like I just feel that there are those who really don't understand how committed like intersectional feminists really are to like, seriously, like who here is like a serious intersectional feminist? Like not in quotes, like for reals. Okay. So that's not a buzzword that goes away. Like people can make fun of it as much as they want. We're just gonna keep like shifting pronouns and like doing whatever we need to do around them. Like we're gonna use the bathrooms we all need to use. Like we're gonna take care of ourselves. So like I just wanna say, like in sisterhood, in siblinghood, like I'm totally with you, and I just feel that like I wanna give thanks to like all the older generation. I mean, like not that you all are old. You're like, I mean, it's not feminist to be ageist, but like you know what I'm saying. Like I'm not saying that you're old. I'm just saying that you are like, some of you are more like chronologically advanced people. So like all of this to say, like I'm just gonna like respectfully like yield the space to like my allies in the movement, and I am so grateful to you all for like seriously like elevating my consciousness so that I understand about like privilege and power dynamics in a new way. Thank you so much. You're amazing.
I am saying I started to take out my earrings because I'm the only dude Sarah Jones brought up here. My name is Rashid, but I'm gonna rock the earrings in solidarity with all my trans brothers and sisters out there. All right? You ain't gotta be able to pin me down on your gender binary, whatever. All right? To listen to what I gotta say. Nah, for real. But I'm saying, like, Sarah Jones brought me with her. Like I said, my name is Rashid. I'm very, you know what I'm saying? It's real deep, marching with a whole bunch of women all day, you feel me? It was real beautiful, son, for real. I mean, I'm saying, me, myself, personally, I started out in hip-hop, and I mean, maybe some of y'all not really into hip-hop music, that's cool, you know what I'm saying? But the first way y'all could have knew I was an MC back in the day, you know what I'm saying, is because I would hold the microphone in the official MC posture. Y'all can see that right there. That's a dead giveaway right there, son. But I'm just saying, like, for me, this movement, this struggle, since I was a shorty, you feel me? This mad important. Everything that's going on right here, what y'all talking about, I'm saying, walking down the street in Washington, D.C. with a whole big bunch of white people talking about Black Lives Matter at the top of their lungs, son. What? Saying. I mean, I'm for real. I ain't never think I would see some shit like that in my lifetime, son, for real. So if that shit could happen, anything could happen. I want to thank y'all, all of y'all who's in this struggle for real. And y'all, I'm saying, I'm with y'all, all right? Just for real, be gentle with a dude. If I get, you know what I'm saying, my words wrong, I called a lady today. She wasn't feeling it, you know what I'm saying? So I'm going to try to call y'all whatever is respectful. You know what I'm saying? Y'all ladies or women or whatever is the word right now, I appreciate that. All right? Peace, y'all. Assalamu alaikum. I wanted to take only one moment before I start to speak. Yes, I give you the greeting, and I did not give you a chance to greet me back. So, assalamu alaikum. It brings warmth in my heart when I hear this room of people that are willing to join together in a way that we need in this time, in this country, like never. like never before. And I had told Sarah Jones, I know it is light-hearted, what you are doing here. But sometimes we have to acknowledge that there are brothers, sisters with a very heavy heart, with fear about this registry, about this possibility of even more demonizing entire culture, entire religion of people for their own gain. So to have all of that solidarity today, and to realize as we are marching, they are watching your every move. They are telling you, you cannot have a backpack. They are telling you, you cannot have your movement free. You are restricted. So you learn, what does it feel like to be Muslim for just one day? So if we can carry this awareness, this is how we develop the solidarity, the empathy, to then be courageous when someone makes that disparaging remark, when someone, your relative who is ignorant, we don't hate people who are ignorant. We teach them, we encourage them that maybe the news you are reading, it is poisoning your mind with what is not true. So I say all of it to say, tonight and today I felt the beauty of the cleansing of that poison. I pray that we carry it with us into the future. I yield this time back to you to feel a moment of peace in your hearts, and I thank everyone for this example. Where do we go from here? Alaikum salam. Shukran.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you all for having me. I love you. Mwah.
Can we give it up for Sarah Jones? Woo! I'm Vivian Labaton with Make It Work. Who is feeling nasty tonight? Excellent. So today, something incredible, I was about to say amazing. Today, something incredible happened here in DC and in hundreds of cities and hundreds of cities across this country and around the world. Millions of people, young and old, longtime activists, brand new activists, took to the streets to make a powerful statement of resistance. As you heard from Alicia and Gloria just a little while ago, women have always been at the forefront throughout history of social change, and tonight and today is no different. So right now, we have to keep up that fight, and we have not a minute to lose. So as you all know, Congress is actively moving to repeal the Affordable Care Act. And that means that 18 million Americans could lose access to their health care. How do we feel about that? Exactly. So, exactly, that's an understatement. So there's no doubt that those efforts to repeal and replace the ACA will be harmful and regressive. Our access to health, our access to contraception, our access to critical services are at stake. So even after a long day of marching, we have to take action right now. So that's what we're going to do. I think almost everyone here has a cell phone, so I'm going to ask you to get out your phones. And together we're going to take a minute to call our senators and urge them to protect the ACA. Right. Well, we're going to have to leave a voicemail since it's the evening, but messages do get counted, and every action counts right now. Today and every day for the next 4 years, every single action is going to count. So there's a message up here. There's a phone number that you can call. You can read it as it is, but if you have a story of how the ACA has personally impacted you, I encourage you to speak from the heart, to tell your own story. So let's hear those numbers being dialed. We're going to do that right now. We have 2 minutes. What can we do if we don't have dinner? Call Mitch McConnell or Paul Ryan. With a room full of organizers, I should have been prepared for that question. All right, are people calling? Wrap it up. People are talking. All right, I love seeing all these calls be made. All right. So we're going to need to do a lot of that tomorrow, the next day, and the day after for the next 4 years, and a whole lot more. So thank you all. This is just the beginning, but I think as we all saw today, united, we are unstoppable. Where's the next one? Who am I introducing?
In the back. She's right there, ready.
Who should I be introducing?
You should be introducing Linda, Cecile.
Hello. All right.
Linda, Cecile.
So this is just the beginning, and now I'm going to turn it over to our incredible panelists of speakers.
All right. How's everybody doing? Amazing day, amazing evening. And now we're going to have an amazing conversation with some of the most amazing women you will ever hear from. I'd like to call up to the stage Cecile Richards, President of Planned Parenthood Federation of America, the one and only inspirational powerhouse. Nope. I'd also like to call up to the stage Linda Sarsour, National Co-Chair of the Women's March on Washington. Yes. Director of Empower, leader. I'd like to call up the one and only Kimberle Crenshaw. Scholar, activist, leader, the woman who gave us intersectionality. And Claudia Galindo, leader, domestic worker from Boston, board member of the National Domestic Workers Alliance, and member of Mata Hari Women Workers Center. And here we are to have this conversation about where we go from here. We were all devastated at the election results. And we were devastated for many, many, many reasons. And I think we all knew that what we were dealing with was not a question of a president that we didn't agree with, but actually an existential threat to the values that we hold dear and to democracy itself in this country. And so, in the midst of that devastation, some women started organizing. They started organizing and brought us to this incredible moment where even though we inaugurated that threat yesterday into office, we also organized the largest demonstration at any inauguration in the history of this country. Amazing show of force and power. And what we're going to talk about now is what really lies ahead. What are the threats that we're going to be facing that we need to prepare for, right? And what is the strategy going forward? We marched today. What does tomorrow look like, and the next day, and the next day, right? So I can't think of a better group of women to help us answer this question, but first I just have to hear from each of them really quickly about why they marched today. So I'd love to do a quick round about what today meant to you. Why did you march today, starting with Cecile?
Well, thanks, Jen, and thank you, Linda, for getting us all together, right? This is amazing.
Yes.
That's just amazing. It was, I think we're all still just so high. And so I marched today for so many reasons, not least of which probably is this is what my mama taught me to do, you know? But, and a lot of the women that we stand on the shoulders of were there with us in spirit. But I guess if I had one group in particular, I'm thinking about the millions of people in this country, and particularly women, who are about to lose their health care. And I'm so grateful that we just did the call into senators, because they have to hear from every single person who marched today that they cannot take away women's health care, whether it's at Planned Parenthood, or whether it's because they're on Medicaid, or whether it's because they're part of the Affordable Care Act. This cannot stand, and women can stop it, and we're gonna have to. So that's it.
So I marched today. I march for communities whose lives depend on it. I march for Muslim women. I march for undocumented women. I march for Native and Black women. I march because my grandmother lives in an occupied territory of Palestine and she can't march. I marched for my daughters, who I want to grow up in a country that loves them and embraces them in all their complexities. And I march for Jen and Cecile and Kimberle and Claudia and for all of you in this room.
Thank you.
I marched today because I wanted to be part of a sea of humanity, not just here in this country, but all over the world that rose up, everywhere. I march because I know that a century of activism can be wiped out in about 6 weeks. It is possible. I marched because I truly believe that a fully intersectional feminism can reach every human on the planet. And I marched because I wanted to be part of that history.
Quiero decirles que marché con mucho orgullo, representando a todas esas mujeres trabajadoras del hogar, exigiendo sus derechos laborales, exigiendo tener dignidad y justicia, y demostrándole a este gobierno que somos poderosas para organizar.
Say that I was proud to march for all domestic workers in this country, that we were demanding our labor rights, dignity, and justice. and showing this administration that we're powerful women.
Thank you, Claudia. All right, so now let's get into it here. I want to hear from some of the panelists around what exactly are the threats that we're facing. What can we expect from this administration and this new political era we've entered? I'd love for Cecile and Kim and Claudia to address this question.
You want me to start? Yeah, okay. Sort of like, it's almost like, what threat are we not going to face? And so it's hard, but I'll focus on a few things that I think are important. Maybe we can complement each other, because in some ways there's no one threat that's bigger than another. And I think what everyone has said is, if we don't face these together and stand united against all the threats to people, that's the way we're going to win. I know that we face an immediate threat of millions of people losing health care access, and that was said from day one. And again, I think it's important to remember that the attack on the Affordable Care Act is actually an attack on women's health. That's what it is, first and foremost. And, women have the most to lose in what's happening. I think it's exciting that actually I think folks have kind of thrown some sand in the gears of the plans to repeal the Affordable Care Act immediately. And we just got to keep the pressure on all across the country. Absolutely, we are facing a real threat to basic reproductive rights in America, and that's going to start with the first Supreme Court appointment that gets made as early as this coming week. And if we aren't in the streets and fighting and about the fact that we will not go back to a time when women could not determine their own reproductive health, we are going to have to stand up and be counted. Otherwise, this thing is going to sail right through. And it is important, right? People don't, I think we recognize we got one vacancy on the Supreme Court. If we have two, that's all it takes to overturn Roe versus Wade and overturn literally decades of women's reproductive rights in America. And I think that, I hope my colleagues will talk about the threats. I mean, we see at Planned Parenthood, the threats to immigrants in this country are so profound, immigrants and refugees who are terrified about their very existence. And we are proud to serve everyone and anyone who comes through our doors, and we will fight with our colleagues forever to make sure everyone can get access to health care, regardless of their immigration status, regardless of where they come from.
So I think we can get a sense of some of the threats by what the administration did yesterday and today. So some of you know that they took down the web pages for civil rights, for LGBTQ, and for climate change. Right? So what does that mean? And let me tell you what they replaced the civil rights page with. They replaced the civil rights page with a page about their support for law enforcement, right? So this wasn't sort of incidental. Effectively, what they are saying is this entire conversation that we've been having about police accountability, this entire effort to link what's actually happening in the streets to a long history of civil rights, that's yesterday's news. We're repudiating that, and we're sending a signal to police in America and to everybody else. All of the stuff that happens under the banner of, we've got to do this because these people are dangerous, we've got to have the support of everybody, even if we kill innocent people, shooting them in the back, to call that a civil right is a civil wrong. That's effectively what they're saying. So when I said earlier that we could see losses that took generations to create be eviscerated overnight, that's what I mean. Right? They've also decided, or at least they have indicated, that they're going to defund the Violence Against Women Act. That's $500 million that they're saying that they're no longer going to fund, which effectively means that violence against women is no longer a civil right. It's no longer an issue that the administration cares about. And finally, they've decided that climate change doesn't exist. Right? Now, we thought that they were perhaps exaggerating. They mean this, right? So across the board, when we talk about vulnerable populations, this administration is going after the most vulnerable first. They're making it clear, they're taking away all of the ability that we might have to use law to defend ourselves, to defend the people we care about. And what Cecile was just saying about this, the Supreme Court, not only will there be perhaps 2 or 3 appointees, these appointees can do what they did to the Voting Rights Act to everything. We believe in Title VII. We believe in Title II, Title IX. That could be gone overnight if we don't work really hard to protect our Supreme Court.
Uno de los efectos, bueno, y son varios que hemos visto, es el odio, racismo y rechazo a la comunidad inmigrante. Y eso es muy doloroso para muchas familias. Un día después de la elección del nuevo presidente, me levanté muy temprano y fue para mí muy sorprendente ver a mi hija de 13 años levantada a 5:30, chequeando la tabla y quién había quedado presidente. Y me dice, mami, como una persona que ha hablado que va a hacer muchas cosas malas en este gobierno puede ser un presidente. En ese momento mi corazón se sintió muy triste y me puse a pensar en la vida y en los hogares de otras personas. Sé que...
One of the effects of this election, and there were many, was in the form of hatred and racism and rejection, particularly among the immigrant community. I was really surprised the day after the election when my daughter, who's 13 years old, woke up at 5:30 a.m. and was looking on her tablet and saw the results of who won. And she said, Mom, how could it be that someone could be president after he said he would do all these terrible things? And I just felt really a lot of pain in my heart. And I knew that this was happening in other homes as well.
Sé que el presidente tiene el poder para hacer muchas cosas que va a cambiar la vida de muchos seres humanos, pero sé también que existen organizaciones que tenemos el poder de hacer cambios y de tener muchas cosas.
So I know the president has power and that he has the power to do things that will affect a lot of families, but I also know that we belong to organizations that are powerful and can make changes.
He podido hablar con muchas compañeras y me han expresado el miedo que tienen de salir a trabajar, de tomar el bus, de poder platicar con otra persona.
So I've spoken to a lot of my friends and they've expressed to me the fear they have to go to work, to take the bus, to go out and talk to other people.
Pero también he encontrado otro grupo que está decidido y tiene energía para luchar por sus derechos en este país.
But I've also met another group of people who are committed and are sure that they're going to be fighting for their rights in this country.
Y esta es la energía que necesitamos las organizaciones para poder alcanzar a todas esas mujeres, a los inmigrantes que tienen miedo de salir de sus hogares.
And so we really need to use all this energy in our organizations to reach those women who are scared to come out of their homes.
So on this question, well, actually, first I just have to say, for those of you who don't know Linda Sarsour, she is one of the people who, without whom there would have been no march today. Her leadership, vision, hard work, generosity, determination, everything that is powerful, right, is what helped to create this incredible moment of power for all of us. So I just want to say thank you again for that. That's right. So Linda, we'd love to hear from you. How do we take this moment of power and turn it into the power we're going to need to transform this country, transform the politics, transform this country? What's the way forward from here?
So the Women's March on Washington is not the beginning and nor is it the end. And this was an opportunity to galvanize those who seemed or felt devastated from the election results, while the rest of us were like, welcome to the rest of our lives and everybody else, and Claudia's life and my life and everybody else. So what is really, as I move forward from this march, and just for folks to know, we have over 600 sister marches that were happening at the same time. I stayed up all night last night watching sister marches in Sydney, Australia, and New Zealand. I mean, this is what we're talking about. And what I want people to know also is that, you look at these big, monstrosity of an event, and it was ordinary people, organizers. I'm like from the hood. I'm from like South Brooklyn. Like I'm not, Brooklyn. We had yoga teachers, bakers, people that work at tech firms. We had moms. We literally have moms. You saw them holding their babies. Like they brought their babies to the meetings. I had my son post his college acceptance letter on Instagram before he told me, because he was like, Mom, you busy. Like, you can find out later. But the reason why I tell you that is because it took ordinary people to make some decisions. And I want to give a little, there was a lot of cynicism at the beginning, and they say, oh, lots of white ladies. And there was a lot of white ladies. I'm not going to lie to you. There's a lot of white ladies. But when the white ladies were then confronted with this idea of centering women of color, they listened. And not only did they center women of color, they gave them leadership positions. Because I was like, Linda's not coming to be a token. I want to be a boss. And if I could be a boss, I'm coming to the table. So I also was the head of fundraising. And that's how I met Cecile and Planned. I knew Planned Parenthood before that, but I was like, Cecile, we need some help. But the decisions that we also made, just to see how women think, we took no corporate money. There was no Coca-Cola, Pepsi on that. That was your money. That was the money from our partners like MoveOn.org and the ACLU and Planned Parenthood and NRDC. These are our people. It was a march paid for by the people, and that goes across the 600 sister marches. So what that tells me is that the power has always lied in the hands of the people. And what we're going to do moving forward is what you saw today. Intersectional organizing. If you're not being intersectional, if you're not an intersectional feminist, I'm not organizing with you. So how do we move forward? Climate justice, racial justice, immigrant rights and immigration reform, civil liberties, women's reproductive rights, LGBTQIA rights. If you ain't all organizing together, we're going to get back into the same situation that we're talking about right now. So moving forward, it's about who talks about me or who speaks of me or who invokes my name when I'm not in the room. So when I'm sitting at a table, you better believe I'm talking about black women and undocumented women. You better believe I'm talking about reproductive rights. And when I'm not in the room, I want you to invoke my name and say, we're going to stand with our Muslim sisters and brothers. We're not going to let nothing happen to my sisters. So the days of silo organizing is over. So we could say Black Lives Matter. We could say my body, my choice. We can say Voting Rights Act. You can say rights for domestic workers. You can say here to stay with your undocumented sisters and brothers, all in one breath. That's how we're going to move forward from here.
Kim, I'm wondering if you have anything to add. Kim, I'm wondering if you have anything to add to that.
I'm just saying hallelujah. No. It is the moment for cross-movement organizing. It is the moment to have movements of movements. We might even call it MOM. That's what we need right now. And it's really important to be able to say, exactly what that means. So I think what Linda just said, when you're not in the room, who's in the room for you? Who's carrying the water for you? How are we sharing some of the rhetorical capital that we have? How are we sharing other resources that we have? So this idea that we're doing all this as separate movements, we saw where that got us. It got us Trump. It does not work. What we are now knowing is that we have some tools, some strategies, some ways of thinking about what's missing. So when we're organizing, for example, as feminists against violence against women, we have traditional ways of thinking what that means. We're organizing against intimate partner violence. That's important. But you also have to remember that violence against women also includes state-sanctioned violence, right? So if you're marching in, a Take Back the Night, it's not just taking back the night from intimate partners. We've got to take back the night from police officers, right? Who sexual abuse from police officers is the second most common complaint against them, but you don't see it often talked about in a lot of our organizing as women. That's intersectional organizing. That's asking the question, here's how we typically think about this. What's missing from the way that we organize? Who's missing from this? And how do we have to broaden our own agendas to be far more intersectional? So when I say I'm an intersectional feminist, it's not so much an identity. It's a practice. It's a commitment. It's the things that you do to ensure that all of the issues, all of the ways they play out across different groups within your groups are lifted up. So I don't want to leave this place with an idea that we just put on a t-shirt. Although you could put on a t-shirt that says, this is what an intersectional feminist looks like. What we want you to do is adapt to a practice. And it's an ongoing process of making sure that our politics and our movements are interconnected. I'd like to see us to build a web of connections between us. So we all know, I'd like to call it being multilingual. Multilingual in the ability to talk about all of our issues. So I need to be able to talk about what's happening to Muslim brothers and sisters. You need to be able to talk about what's happening to people of color who are being pushed out on the streets, homelessness. I need to be able to talk about reproductive rights, and we all need to be able to carry it through all of our issues so that we can support each other. That to me is, if anything, if there's any silver lining on this disaster, is because we know we can't go back that way anymore, and the only way to go is forward.
Forward together. And I think I speak for everyone in this room when I say we all stand ready to defend reproductive rights and Planned Parenthood, right? And I'd love to hear from you, Cecile, about how you're seeing the way forward.
Thanks. And just thank you for both of you for your comments. I think it's so powerful. And I can't see out there, but I know that some of the leaders, some of the most important leaders in the reproductive justice movement are here today, and I just want you to shout them out and acknowledge them, because I can't see who's here. My friend Monica, and I think that the way forward, a lot of it started 20 years ago with the reproductive justice movement, and I'm honored to call you a friend and ally, and there's a lot of work we got to continue to do, right? So, because it's about a lot more than Planned Parenthood. I mean, look, we're the target because we're the biggest, and we provide the most health care, and we're 100 years old. Yes, we're 100 years old, and take that. And look, in 100 years, you have history you're proud of and history you're not so proud of. And so that's work we got to do together too, right? And that we got to do internally. I think the important thing is, though, we are the target because we're the easiest to go after. And so I appreciate the partnerships and sisterhood we have had. But they're going after us immediately. And one thing I would love to do, if it's okay, Jen, is just to explain, because I think it's kind of a misnomer. Folks, when they say defund Planned Parenthood, there's not a federal budget line item for Planned Parenthood. That would be a great day, and I'll work for that day. But we actually work just like every other healthcare provider in America, which is we get reimbursed for women who come to us, not just women, but all patients who come to us who are on Medicaid. And what Paul Ryan is saying he's going to do, and what Mike Pence has spent his entire career doing, is trying to say to women on Medicaid, you can't go to the healthcare provider of your choice, and that is what this fight is about. What I say to Mike Pence and Paul Ryan is, women in this country should have the same right as every member of Congress to go to whatever healthcare provider they want to, whenever they want to. And that's what we're really fighting for. And I think it's, in closing, so this is why it is so important. The most frightening thing for members of Congress is what they just saw today, right? Which are folks standing together, and fighting back. And that's what we really need help in doing in this next few weeks. And one thing I'd just like to make a plug is every single member of Congress is going back in February. They got a break, which is great news, because they're going to be back home. Every single one of the people that marched need to be in their offices and in their town halls and telling them what they care about, all the issues they care about, because they cannot escape us. So that's what we need to do.
Thank you. So I'd love to hear maybe just a final round from each of you. As we walk out of here today, we're going to hear some amazing calls to action from women's organizations across sectors. So you'll get to hear and witness intersectional feminism in action right after this panel. And you'll get to hear a whole bunch of different ways that you can get involved, plug into organizations. But I'd love to hear one round from the panelists about what you would like every woman in this room to take home with them as they go back and organize. We've got 2018 elections coming right around the corner. We've got to get ready for 2020 so that we can make this administration just a small blip in a long arc of history towards justice. We've got a lot of work to do. So what would you leave this room with as they go home after we do our calls to action?
Well, one thing we didn't say, and it's been said before, but we can't say it enough, it is the most reliable progressive voters in this country are women of color, and we have to lift them up and acknowledge that. And this is never talked about. So we got a lot of work to do with white women. We got a lot of work to do with other voters, but women of color need their due. So I do think the other thing that I hope we do, particularly as we head into the work, is for a lot of times reproductive issues are considered somehow social issues, or they're considered like different. They are fundamental economic issues for people in this country, reproductive access to health care. I'll tell you, we saw it 2 days after the election. 2 days after the election, we saw a 900% increase in women trying to get into Planned Parenthood to get an IUD that would last them 4 years of the Trump administration. That tells you how important it is to have access. A right to health care or access doesn't mean anything if you can't get in to see somebody who will provide you that care. And so I just hope we don't allow this false narrative to take place, which somehow that reproductive issues are not fundamental issues of class, race, gender, income, and geography. It's all connected, and we're proud to stand with everyone here to make it a reality for the country. So thank you.
So since I mentioned some, I'm just trying to, I'm fair. I'm trying to be just. If I'm going to fight for justice, I got to be just on the stage. So I just want to really quick, because this is fast, the people that helped make this march happen, because I want you to know the organizations that helped to make this a reality, and I want you to support those organizations. And our presenting sponsor, as you know, is Planned Parenthood, NRDC, the National Resource Defense Council that works on climate justice, Emily's List. Huge shout out to NARAL, Pro-Choice America, ACLU, the Human Rights Campaign, 1199, American Federation of Teachers, Peace is Loud, and MoveOn.org. So I just want to give everybody, all those folks, a shout out. So I think when people ask me in a room and say, what do you do? Are you asking us to do? I think a lot of people look at people like us, or people like me, or Alicia, Garza, and say, y'all great with that activism stuff, but like, I got a full-time job and I can't be out in these streets like that. Like, you gotta give me something else. And I don't think that we are the example, right? We are, generally speaking, extraordinary for being able to have a full-time organizing jobs. That's just not normal, right? But what I tell people all the time is, go home and knock on your neighbor's door. The only way we're gonna protect one another is if we know one another. So if you know down the street from your house or down the hall in your apartment building, there's an undocumented family or a Central American family, or you got Muslims down the street that you just see going in and out of the house, why don't you walk over there and say, good afternoon, my name is so-so, just so you know I'm your neighbor. If you ever need me for anything, I got you. That's the kind of beloved, when Dr. Martin Luther King talked about the beloved community, that's what he was talking about. I know everybody that lives in my street in Brooklyn. I don't even know half those people want to know me, but you know what? They know exactly who I am. And you know how powerful it is? There's a woman that lives in the basement 2 houses down from me. She's an undocumented woman, has 4 children. One of them is a 12-year-old girl that goes to school, my daughter. I gave her my phone number. I said to her, if you ever need anything from me, this is my number. I don't care, 24 hours a day. You know what? Anything happens, your children are my children. I take care of your kids. You don't have to worry. You know, that's the kind of organizing that we need. That's the kind of community building that we need. So go home, knock on your neighbor's door and say, I got you. I'm your neighbor. Whatever you need, I'll watch your cat. That's what I want you to do when you go home. If you, in your workplace, sometimes asking a woman of color, how is your day? How are you doing? You all right? I got you. It makes my day when somebody tells me that. So the simple things in life, just being ordinary human beings, and that's why what was amazing about this march today, as I walked through the crowd, just talking to random people from Nebraska and Iowa and Idaho and Wyoming, I was like, Wyoming even came to the march. You know what when I asked people what was the most meaningful thing to you, people said, I met people from everywhere. I had this one woman from Tennessee tell me that today was the first time she ever spoke to a Muslim woman at the march. Not that she wouldn't have never spoke to them, but the idea that that's the first place she did. So go home, meet some people, make some friends, tell people you got them. Trust me, we'll never be in this situation ever again.
I think I have two don'ts and a do. One is, don't lose the shock that we felt on November 8th, ever. Wake up every morning and keep that sense of, I cannot believe this is my country. Because it's that shock, it's that indignation, it's this cannot be true sentiment that will make it not true in 2020. So we have to resist every gesture towards normalization. I myself have committed to try not to ever say his name. Just not gonna say it. I've started to call him Predator in Chief. That's one thing that I'll say. But I will not say his name. So resisting the normalization keeps alive the possibility of a world that we want to create, not the one that he thinks he lives in. I think the second thing is resisting the lie. So we've been told a lie by some people on our own side that we got into this mess because there was too much feminism, because there was too much anti-racism, because we talked about injustice too much, because we didn't pay attention to the anger over what I call diminished overrepresentation. Basically, this whole idea is that white men are mad that they don't have everything when they still have more than everybody else. We can't go down that road. We have to remember, we were the majority. Only a quarter of the American population elected that man. So we cannot go down a road that suggests that we should abandon what brought us to where we are right now. We have to remember, we are the majority. It is us. We're not gonna let them push us back. And here's my do. My do is, we basically have to figure out how to aggregate our power into real political power. We saw it out there. We saw it around the world. The question isn't how do we get more of us? The question is how do we get the power that we need given who we are? So one thing we've got to do, we've got to eliminate the Electoral College. That's just got to go. It's got to go. And second, we need a new amendment. We actually need to advocate for a new era. This is the new era. It's time for a new era. And it's not just about gender equality. We've got to put into this constitutional amendment race equality, equality on the basis of religious and faith, equality on the basis of sexual identity and gender performance. This is all part of the new era which we're going to hear about. Let's all ask each other, what are we willing to do? Everybody is willing to do something. It could be a minute, it could be 5 minutes, it could be 5 days, 5 weeks. If you can tell us what you're willing to do, we can give you something to do to make that time part of a broader movement.
Tengo un mensaje dirigido a cada uno de ustedes y a las organizaciones. Que nos unamos en amor, que nos aliemos, que busquemos estrategias. Estrategias para cubrir a las personas inmigrantes, que sepan que hay esperanza para las mujeres trabajadoras, que les hagamos saber que hay una carta de derecho que les corresponde a ellos, que está hecha para ellos, que no se sientan que no valen nada. El trabajo que ellos hacen hace posible otros trabajos, que son merecedores de mejores sueldos, de pago de overtime. Quiero decirles que cuando yo empecé a trabajar como trabajadora del hogar me sentía muy aislada, muy triste. Pero llegué a la organización y me educaron, me hicieron entender que habían derechos para mí. Cambió mi vida, cambió la vida de mi hogar y me hizo merecedora de un buen trabajo. Y eso es lo que quiero para todas esas mujeres trabajadoras del hogar, que tengan un cambio de vida y un cambio para sus hogares, para sus seres queridos. Que nos organicemos para formar líderes y organizadoras.
So I want to say to everyone in this room and to our organizations that we unite in love, that we find strategies for immigrants, for domestic workers, that we bring hope to these groups, that we get domestic worker Bill of Rights so that people know that their work is valued. Our work is the work that makes all other work possible, so we need to be paid better to be getting overtime. When I arrived at my organization, I didn't know I had rights, and it changed my life, and it changed the life of my home. Now I have a good job, and I want all other women to have this, and for them to also have a good life. I want them to have this change of life. And I want this for their homes and for their loved ones, and so that we can all convert into leaders and into organizers.
Quiero decirles que a partir de la fecha que llegué a la organización, me formé una líder y una organizadora. Y a través de eso adquirí un trabajo y me siento muy afortunada de trabajar con unas personas que cuidan de mí como yo cuido de ellos. Y quiero aprovechar este momento, y disculpe a Jean que lo haga, pero quiero agradecerle a la mamá de los niños que yo cuido porque viajó desde Boston para apoyarme en esta marcha.
From the moment that I got involved in my organization, I became a leader and an organizer, and I feel so fortunate to have found such a good family that takes care of me the way that I take care of them. And I want to take advantage of this moment to recognize the mother of the children that I care for who traveled here from Boston to be part of this march.
So we're going to organize. We're going to talk to our neighbors, build relationships, support each other. We're going to build political power, right? Are we going to build political power? Right? Never again will we have an election outcome like the one we just had. Never again. I want to see a wave of women voters win thousands of state and local and federal elections in 2018, setting the stage for a major victory in 2020. And in the meantime, organize, organize, organize. Another round of applause for our amazing panel. Sorry, okay, the program is not over. We are now heading into our calls to action. And I'm going to hand it over to the amazing Ilyse Hogue from NARAL Pro-Choice America and Tracy Sturdivant from Make It Work.
All of our organization partners who are presenting. Come on, ladies, let's get in formation. And men. Okay, women. Right, as Sarah said, oh, women.
Bring it together. We're about to introduce you to people who do this work on the ground every day, and you're not going to want to miss a single word they say.
Awesome. Want to say hello to all of the folks who are watching us on live stream right now online. So, Ilyse, today's been a very exciting day. How did you start your day?
I woke up, Tracy, I woke up in the district because I am a resident of the district, and a shout out to the District of Columbia, which, speaking of activism, just passed the most progressive bill, paid family leave in the entire country. Due to organizing and mobilizing, NARAL mobilized our 2,000 of our members. We mobilized businesses. We worked in coalition with so many groups in this room. It shows what progressive coalition, hand-in-hand organizing can do. And then I just walked down to the march where I've been buoyed and excited all day about the energy and the vibrancy that we can feel in this room. How about you, Tracy? How was your day?
It was great. I woke up this morning and went over to the National Council of Negro Women. There was a breakfast held by some of the Congressional Black Caucus women leaders, just to give us an opportunity to rally and to pray for the day ahead. And got an opportunity to walk through the march with a bunch of friends. Let me tell you, the sign game today, ladies, on point, okay? This was my sign, but the sign game, I literally was running up to folks like, can I take your picture? Can I take your picture? So I'm very excited about uploading all my photos to Facebook when I get home tonight.
So what we're about to do here is not only pay respect to people in the trenches every single day doing the hard work, but give you guys an opportunity to learn how to engage in daily resistance in between these movement moments, which is what is gonna make the difference. And how's it gonna go, Tracy?
So we're gonna have three groups, groups of three come up. Everyone's gonna tell you their name and talk to you about the work that their organization does and how you can get involved. The goal is to turn this moment into a movement for you to not go home and just get on the Twitter and get on the Facebook and think that's enough. We've got a lot of work to do, folks. So this is your opportunity to find ways to stay plugged in when you get home.
But y'all are gonna have to listen carefully because this is lightning round. Each leader has 90 seconds to tell you what they do, and then you guys, wait a minute, this is important, audience participation, you guys have 5 seconds to love these leaders like crazy. 5 seconds is not a lot of time, so you're gonna have to get your love ready. So let's get started. First group, quick, quick, quick.
We're Family Values at Work. I'm Ellen Bravo.
Hi, I'm Sade Moon Sammy.
So raise your hand if you have ever had a job and the flu or a kid throwing up or a parent who needed you to go to the doctor.
Awesome. Raise your hand if you ever had a child that was sick or a partner that you needed to take care for or a mom that you needed to take care for. Everybody? Yeah?
So we have great news. Our movement has won paid sick days in 40 locations, 14 of them just last year.
And we won paid family leave in 5 states, DC the latest, last Tuesday.
40 million people have benefited from that. And here's why we won. Because groups led by women built broad and diverse coalitions, and they reached out to women like you.
Women like you said that we can't do this by myself, but we can do this if we work together.
Despite the occupier in the White House, our movement is going to continue to win.
And we want you to join them. We want you to join us.
So here's what you need to do. Take out your phones. We're going to have you text the word family to this number, 38470.
Take out your phone, 38470, text family.
38470. Okay, and then what we want you to do,
38470. It's like lottery number.
And then we want you to stop by our table so that we can plug you into our work, because here's the truth. We can never reach gender justice or racial justice or economic justice. We can never value every family
together. So stop by and see me at the table, and I will connect you to a local organization.
Because we know that family values can't stop at the workplace door. Thank you so much.
2, 1, love! Good evening, everyone. How are you doing? Woo! All right, so who feels great about today and ready to get to work? Yeah, that's right. My name is Sangyan Choi Morel. I represent the National Asian Pacific American Women's Forum. We are the only progressive women's rights organization in this country. And today, I am here to tell you that there are people in the right wing that are attacking specifically our community, the women, the Asian American women, with a small, not well-known legislation called PRENDA, Prenatal Non-Discrimination Act, which further tries to reduce and eliminate access to reproductive health services of Asian American community by saying racist lies that we choose sex-selective abortions, and therefore we should be banned from having abortions. And so this has been introduced in the House already, so we want you to call them, and you can get a script and get more information about it on our website at www.napawf.org, or Google Asian American Women Rights and you'll find us. And we have a script on there for you to call your representative, because we need to stop this. And we need to make sure that our women are not continue to be attacked, and our ability to have access to reproductive services is eliminated. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. I am Anne-Marie Benitez with the National Latina Institute for Reproductive Health. And we represent over 28 million Latinas here in the United States. And what we work for is salud, because we believe health is a human right. No matter who you are, where you live, what your immigration status, you should have access to the healthcare you want, including abortion, no matter where you live or your status. We believe in dignity. We believe that you should not face stigma or shame for any of the care you want, regardless of your gender orientation, your gender identity, or your sexual orientation, or your religion, or your national origin, whatever. You should not face any stigma or any. You should get the care that you want. And justicia, Justice meaning that no matter where you live, you should not be scared of being deported. You should not feel like you live in a community where you are criminalized. And we fight for everybody. Salud, dignidad, and justicia. 2 asks, because so much shit is coming down the pike. I can't even list them all. 1, the Hyde Amendment is going to be voted on Tuesday in the House. Call your members of Congress, please. That would ban coverage for abortion services, so please, please call them. And the other, DACA. That is an announcement that's going to come down very soon from the administration. I can't say their names either. And we need to defend everyone in our community, including the undocumented, including DACA, and everyone. So thank you, everybody. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Next up to the stage.
Hi, everyone. I'm with the Restaurant Opportunity Center, and I want to tell you guys about our One Fair Wage campaign. So, thank you. How many of you all have worked at a restaurant before? A lot of us. Thank you. So I don't have to tell you. You know about the sub-minimum wage for tip workers. Federally, it's $2.13 an hour, and we don't stand for that. What we want is one fair wage for everybody, so you get the same minimum wage and your tips on top of that. And why the reason why this campaign is so important to a group just like this one is because, again, something I probably don't have to tell you, sexual harassment cases in the restaurant industry are 5 times higher than any other industry. So what happens when all of us who have worked at a restaurant go in, and 1 in 2 women in this country will have worked at a restaurant. And it's usually, you know, your first job, right? How old were you guys when you started working at a restaurant? Early 19, 20 más o menos? Okay. So you're going in and you're getting harassed 5 times more than your peers, and you're setting this horrible standard for sexual harassment. You're normalizing this locker room banter that then moves on with you to other professions. So when you get harassed at another job, you say, well, you know, I'm not going to report that. It's not as bad as what happened at the restaurant, so I'm good. I'll just put up with it and move on. And we don't have to create that standard. We want to break that standard. We want one fair wage so that women don't have to put themselves on the menu to get tips. Thank you.
Good evening. I work with Caring Across Generations. We're a national campaign of family caregivers, direct care workers, seniors, people with disabilities, and the millions of families across this country that are sandwiched between caring for their children and their adult loved ones. We're working to transform our country's care system so that it works for the 21st century family. Because right now the programs that we rely on were created in 1965. We know a lot has changed since then, and our care infrastructure needs to change along with it. What does that mean? It means we need affordable options that allow people to get the care they need when they need it, and most of all, where they want it, which is often in our homes and in our communities. And it also means that care work needs to be valued, unpaid and paid. Because of this, we're fighting state by state for a bold new proposal called Universal Family Care, which would be a new benefit accessible to everyone to cover elder care, child care, or self-care. We do grassroots organizing, online organizing, civic engagement, advocacy, and most of all, we are developing vibrant, bold, and loving campaigns that have the power to change policy and hearts and minds across this country. We are building the power of the caring majority, and we need and we welcome artists, writers, door knockers, phone bankers, mothers, sisters, daughters, and caregivers, all of you. Join us at caringacross.org.
All right. Our friends from Native Voice Network couldn't be here this evening, so we're going to move to the next group. I'm going to ask folks, I know we are all excited, a lot of energy from today, but if you could keep your conversations down to a minimum so we can hear the great work that our friends are doing. It'll be, she said, take it outside. So just bring your voices down so we can hear their work. Great, go.
All right, who here is ready to rise? Thank you. Well, we're Moms Rising. We have over 1 million members. We work to increase family economic security, decrease discrimination, and build a nation where everyone can thrive. That means we have issues, and here are a couple of them.
Today we're going to focus on 2 issues. How many of you know that 2.7 million children have a parent that is incarcerated? There's also 1 million women in this country who are under criminal justice supervision, and most of them are mothers. We want you to join us in continuing the fight to dismantle the prison industrial complex, to end mass incarceration, and join us when Congress reconvenes to say we're not giving up. And we want you to all take a pledge with Moms Rising to deconstruct the school-to-prison pipeline in our lifetime.
Donna Norton, and as Vivian said, this is a critical time to talk and raise our voices for the Affordable Care Act and fight against the repeal of Obamacare. The last few weeks, we have been gathering stories from our members across the nation about how Obamacare has helped them. They have given us the most heartfelt, incredible stories, and we need your help to get those to the attention of especially Republican senators. We created this book of healthcare stories, and tonight we would love you to go by our booth and pick one up and deliver them in district to your senator's office. Also, we will be continuing to update you with lots of these actions every week. So if you could take out your cell phone and text the word JOIN to 747-464, that's 747-464, the word JOIN, or go to momsrising.org. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm here representing AAPF. We're a think tank based in New York, led by Kimberle Crenshaw, and we're intersectional activists and researchers that aim to promote and help intersectional social movement building, and particularly to lift up the ways that women and girls of color fall through the cracks of feminism and anti-racism. So one of our most recent campaigns is Say Her Name, which brings attention to the names and stories of Black women who have been killed by the police. So we often know the names and stories of men, but we often don't know that the same stories and names of women. So today we marched with 3 of the mothers of women who have been killed by the police, the mother of Michelle Cusseau, Corinne Gaines, and India Beatty. So if you want to help out in 2017, we need your help expanding our research and bringing attention to the violence experienced by women and girls of color. So if you see anything, if you experience anything, let us know. We want to hear about these incidents of violence. You can also tweet at us at AA Policy Forum to join our listserv, to get involved, to bring a town hall to your city. So get in contact, and we'd love to talk to you.
Hi, my name is Judalyn. I want you to imagine a new vertical neighborhood in the middle of New York City, dedicated to equality, liberation, and justice for all girls and women all around the world.
And I want you to imagine that this is in a former women's prison, reclaimed by women and transformed into a global hub for girls and women, turning a place of pain and confinement into a place of liberation and possibility.
And like, actually imagine it, right? Put your phone down and actually imagine a space built by us, for us, a space that held us against our will, that we transform with our will into our home.
And I wanted to say this building is going to be built for women, by women, for world domination. Shh.
Okay, so the building is going to open in 2020, but our journey is already underway and our community is already coming together.
But it's not the three of us, right? So this is a partnership between the Novo Foundation, between a feminist real estate developer, Leela Goran Group, and an accountable partnership with community, including an advisory circle. Stand up if you're here.
Joanne, Ijen,
and concentric circles of folks building this space with us. So join us. Find us on the interwebs.
www.womensbuildingnyc.org.
And so we're going to do one activity. We're out of time, but here's what we're going to do. I'm going to give you a sentence stem, and you're going to finish it. I'm going to say, my women's building is, and you're going to tell me what it is. What is it? Right? My women's building is. My women's building is. My women's building is. So shall it be.
Hello, everyone. I'm Lena with the American Constitution Society. Woo! And ACS believes that the Constitution and the law should be a force to improve the lives of all people. All of the issues you care about are based in core constitutional values of genuine equality and access to the courts and rule of law. So we encourage you to get involved with us. We obviously care a lot about the courts. We heard about the Supreme Court. The lower courts, about 14% of them are vacant too on day one of this administration. So we need you involved in the courts on the issues that you care about and everything else that you hold dear. So a few things that we want you to do. One is feel free to carry a pocket constitution. Have it with you, read it often, and you can pick one up over in one of the rooms back there where we have a table. Another is join us. Our website's up there. We have events happening all across the country because we are a network of progressive lawyers, policymakers, judges, and students. We need you involved in part of the conversations in our programs. And also, please, write op-eds, write letters to the editor about those issues that you care about, and we're happy to help you. We're happy to give you resources if you go to our website as well. So thank you all for what you're doing.
Hi everyone, my name is Thenmori Soundarajan and I'm here with Equality Labs. Woo! We are a Dalit Women's Technology Project, that's right, a Dalit Women's Technology Project. And I marched today for 300 million Dalits who are fighting to end caste apartheid. And I tell you that if you want all women to be free, we must also end the caste system. Now, I'm here also to tell you, as one of the oldest resistance movements in the world, Dalit women have a lot to tell you about what it's like to organize against the predator-in-chief. In particular, when you organize under predators, we have to take care of ourselves, we have to practice self-defense, and in the context of the internet, we must practice digital security. Okay, I need a little bit more. Ooh! Now, the thing with digital security is more often than not, you have a white cis male trainer who doesn't understand what it's like to be at the forefront of battling the predator and his troll army. What we want to do at Equality Labs is to say, women, gender nonconforming, and trans folks, we can take control of our lives, and we must also fight for the values of the internet. Do not cede our knowledge, our collective world knowledge, to these assholes. So the way that we do that is in a couple of first stages. So the first step is add us on Twitter at Equality Labs, and on our website we have digital one-sheets for everything about how to secure your phone, secure your computer, secure your network access, and secure your social networks. If you are a woman, gender non-conforming, trans person in this room, you are a target. So take that target off your back,
practice harm reduction when it comes to the internet, and as we heard, we must protect each other. The next step is we need to build a mass movement against mass surveillance, and women of color, gender nonconforming trans folks need to lead it. So do not accept this as a conversation around simply technology. This is about state violence. This is about control, and we are taking it the fuck back. Thank you.
She should have just dropped the mic. We're just taking it the fuck back.
Yeah. Hey, y'all, I'm Callie Robinson, the Deputy Organizing Director of Planned Parenthood. Woo! Hey, I'm also the last speaker's hype woman. That was what's up, right? Take it the fuck back. And I just gotta tell you quickly, y'all, my mama and Maya Angelou have both been known to say, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. And when do we believe them? The first time. And extreme politicians like Mike Pence, like this Paul Ryan and the other fools out there, they have been telling us their intentions for a long time about defunding Planned Parenthood and about cutting access to health care for millions of folks, among other things that they're trying to do to dismantle our communities and our people. But we're not gonna let them have it, are we? I said we're not gonna let them have them, are we? Y'all, we got a couple things I'm gonna ask y'all to do for Planned Parenthood. One, tell your story. Whether you're gonna tell your story to your neighbor when you get home, to put a human face on what this issue is, because this isn't about politics, this is about our bodies and our families, y'all. Or if you're gonna tell your story to your congressperson to make sure that they're voting on their people and not where they think their next vote is coming from, because it's actually coming from us in this room, am I right? And then also tell your story to the media. We gotta really show who this issue is all about. Can I count on you to do that? And the last thing I want you to do, y'all, we gotta turn it up. This is only the beginning. This is the inauguration of the resistance I heard at the Peace Ball. So what we gotta do is we gotta continue taking action. I need folks to join us February 18th to the 25th when folks are home for recess and make noise at your congressperson's office. Can I count on you to do that? All right, visit IStandWithPP.org for more. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Shereen Mitchell. If you can follow me online, I'm called Digital Sister, but I'm going to tell you something really interesting, which is really important right now, as I'm representing Black Women's Roundtable. Black women voted 94%! Our vote counted. Our vote counts now. But please be sure that you understand that we will be fighting from here and over about what needs to happen for our community. And that is, one, college education. Yeah. Criminal justice. Why? Because our children are being criminalized for being who they are every single day. Problem number one, and we just saw as Kimberle Crenshaw has talked about, that criminal justice was, civil rights was changed into criminal justice. So that means that our kids will be targeted even more so. So by the line of where we're going right now, we need to change that. But I also have one more thing I want to say right now. As we look at what's happening online and what you just heard about equality labs, we have to fight online and offline. What happened during the election was women of color were being silenced when others were not. Twitter waited after the election to silence those who broke the TOS of their establishment. So let's be clear. We have a fight that is both online and off, and we as women of color are in the forefront because we have been attacked from the back and before. Thank you.
Good evening, my sisters.
Good evening.
Good evening. We work at Demos. Demos is a public policy and campaign strategy organization. Our name, Demos, reminds us that the power, the source of our power, is the beautiful diversity of the people.
We develop public policy campaigns at every level of government and support our grassroots partners not to just change policy, but to build power and organize as part of what it means to win. Our work connects economic justice and racial equity because we know that to address the crisis of inequality, we must address race.
But here's the deal. We've heard it before, and it's true. Liberals and progressives have shied away from talking about race. They've let the big white elephant in the room stay, and they haven't done anything about it. The right uses race to divide us. They create economic anxiety, turn that into fear that feeds racism.
We must call out their phony populism, false solutions that pit us against each other, that keep us from being for each other. So please, no matter what issue or cause you work on, drop by our table to get some of the incredible tools, online videos, public commentary, things that will help you organize others, tools that bring us together, especially as we face those who don't want to just divide us, but build walls that keep us apart.
Because here's the deal. It will take your leadership, the leadership of the demos, of the beautiful diversity of our people, to make this a country for all of us. A place where we have an equal share in our economy and an equal say in our democracy. A place where we are free from sexual, racial, gender violence, and a place where we can all live with dignity.
Thank you.
All right, sisters, coming to the stage. Don't make me have to do my Sandman impersonation.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Teresa Younger with the Ms. Foundation for Women. And the Ms. Foundation, for those of you who are unfamiliar with our work, are about disrupting the normative and the narrative that is going on out there. We are about building the collective power of women. We are about centering women of color in every conversation. We are about lifting up the voices of women, and we are about being who you are. We believe and trust every day that women have the solutions that help and heal their communities. And some of you may have even seen some of our work most recently. And if you haven't, go and look. We were the group that put out the latest video this week called We Won't Go Back. We Won't Go Back. And it was led, We Won't Go Back, and it was led by my colleague, Angelique Roche. Angelique,
So I'm going to do this quick in 30 seconds. The way you can help and the way we work is that we build networks and we leverage those networks. That means we want you to go to forwomen.org. And I want to take a second. If anyone has ever been a grantee, is a current grantee, or a partner of the Ms. Foundation, please raise your hand. Raise your hand. Put it up.
Yes.
So the second thing you could do when you go on the website is find out about these organizations. We've had over 1,600 grantees through the Ms. Foundation over the last 43 years. Right now we've got 80 around the country, and then also follow us on Twitter, because the stronger our networks are is the more we can do work for our grantees. Thank you.
Repeat after me. We won't go back. We won't go back. We won't go back. We won't go back.
That's right. Hello, everyone. My name is Nah Hammond, and I'm with the Groundswell Fund. For folks who aren't familiar with us, Groundswell is the largest national funder of the U.S. reproductive justice movement. We provide grants and capacity building support to more than 50 grassroots organizations, many of whom are in this room tonight. These are organizations led by women of color, low-income women, and transgender people. And our grantees organize around reproductive issues, particularly at the state and the local levels, where we know over the next 4 years, the attacks are going to be the greatest, but we also know that the potential for winning through organizing is also the greatest. It's been said many times tonight that in this election, no other group stood up to hate more than women of color. Women of color resisted the dual forces of white supremacy and patriarchy, something that we've been doing for generations. Yet why is it that organizations that are led by women of color are often the least funded and the last to be funded? That's why at Groundswell Fund, we center the leadership of women of color and transgender-led organizations who are actually leading the fight in the next 4 years. So you can support us by going to groundswellfund.org, learning more about Groundswell and how you can become a donor or supporter, and then also donating to the grassroots organizations we support every day. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Susan Swan from V-Day. V-Day is a V-Day is a global activist women to end violence against women and girls. We raise funds and awareness. We create campaigns, ideas, programs. We were founded by Eve Ensler, the playwright of the Vagina Monologues. We launched out of V-Day, out of the Vagina Monologues. V-Day activists go deeply into their community with art. They connect across networks. They bring them into their events. Together, in the past 18 years, they've raised over $100 million for domestic violence shelters, rape crisis centers, anti-violence programs, groups doing works that serve survivors, work to end violence against women on the ground, connecting networks across, all throughout the US, all throughout the world, on college campuses everywhere. We've grown over the last years and now have 1 Billion Rising, which is a massive campaign where activists take it to the streets through artistic, political, and creative events. We want to talk to you about what we're doing this year. This year, we're looking at rising in solidarity against the exploitation of women with a focus on women workers rising. The thing we want to invite you to is in February and March, we have Actions V-Day, benefit productions, artistic events all throughout the US and the world. We have 1 Billion Rising events happening also. And we have an event happening here in DC with many partners here today, including NWDA and ROC, an African American Policy Forum. March 8th, we are going to protest at the Department of Labor, protest with all working women groups, AFL-CIO, National Nurses United, etc. You will have a chance, if you don't before that, to come and protest on the steps of the Department of Labor, and then march again, all the way to Dock 5 for a wildly artistic uprising, creative voices of women workers being amplified and foregrounded. So please come and join us. Thanks.
Hi, am I on? I'm not the technical person in our shop. My name is Cynthia Cameron. I'm with 9 to 5. 9 to 5 is a national member. Thank you. And many of you know that song that Dolly Parton wrote about our organization about 40 years ago. Yes, she did. 9 to 5 has been organizing and winning change around workplace issues for women for over 40 years. We've helped win groundbreaking legislation at the state and the national level around pregnancy discrimination, family and medical leave, raising minimum wages, and recognizing and preventing sexual harassment. How we do this? We amplify the voices of working women, we harness the collective power of personal experience, and we translate that power into policy change on equal pay, pregnancy discrimination, and family leave. If you have ever been sexually harassed in the workplace, if you have ever found out or suspected that the man sitting next to you or down the hall is doing the same job but getting greater pay, then you can join us. I think it'll be up here in a little bit. Across the hall, we have these blue cards you can take with you, or you can go to 9to5/story, 9to5/story. Share your story of a great workplace policy or workplace injustice. Join us. Thank you.
Water is life. Water is life. Today, nearly over 150 Native women marched, and they were mobilized by Native Women Rising, and what they say is water is life, and women are life. Women are life. My name is Judith LeBlanc. I'm a proud member of the Caddo Tribe of Oklahoma and the director of the Native Organizers Alliance. We are a national Native training and organizing network working with tribes, Native nonprofits, social movement activists, and community leaders. I want to pitch to you one idea we have that grew out of our work at Standing Rock. The Oceti-Chacon elder, Faith Spotted Eagle, and I, we're like Thelma and Louise when we go to Standing Rock. We hatched an idea to develop a project called the Missouri River Protection Project to engage tribes, community activists, leaders, tribal leaders, all who've been passing through the roads of Oceti-Chacon Camp to protect the Missouri River from top to bottom. We're going to empower the tribes to enact EPA standards that are tougher than the federal, and who knows, EPA might not even exist. And we are going to engage our communities to protect our water. Water is life. So if you are Native, give me a call. If you're a funder and want to help us, give me a call. If you are a scientist, we need you to help us in the water protection work. www.nativeorganizing.org.
Hi, everybody. I'm Terry O'Neill. I'm the president of the National Organization for Women. Since 2015, NOW's purpose was restated. Our purpose is to take action through intersectional grassroots organizing to promote feminist values and lead societal change. We believe that voter suppression is killing us. It is killing all of the women represented in this room. We are undertaking a national action campaign to end voter suppression. We did think about a campaign to suppress the white vote. But we decided that wasn't really democratic. If you want to engage with us in our campaign to end voter suppression, we need to start winning some elections. Women of color are disproportionately impacted by voter suppression schemes, whether it's voter ID or inflexible hours or not being able to stand online for hours and hours and hours. Women of color are disproportionately impacted, and women everywhere lose out because women of color are the best voters we have, not white women, women of color. We have a table all the way down there. I've got now staff here, Emily, Emmy, Chioki. We're all here to help you. Come and sign up with us. Thank you.
Mic check. It is on. Good evening, everybody. How y'all doing tonight? That's what's up. My name is Monica Simpson. I'm the executive director of Sister Song, the National Women of Color Reproductive Justice Collective. And this year, Sister Song is celebrating 20 years, good people. 20 years, Sister Song has been organizing and amplifying the voices and leadership of women of color all across this country for reproductive justice. The movement for reproductive justice, named by Black women 22 years ago and organized by women of color, has been transforming the way that we have been doing this work now for 22 years. We've been doing big things, y'all. So as they were talking up here on this panel, I was just like, yep, we totally get intersectionality, and that's the work that we do every single day. So, how can you get involved with us and what we got going on? I got 30 seconds, God to Almighty. We have a table out there. You can come sign up with us because we got some big things. We have a national conference happening October 5th through 8th in New Orleans. If you have never been a part of a reproductive justice conference before, this is where you need to be at. Come get that information. If you are an artist and you are looking to use your work to amplify the work of reproductive justice, come see us and sign up and make sure that you can be a part of our Artists United for RJ work. And I am at my time. Come see us. We love y'all. We thank you. Peace and blessings.
Much love. Hello. So, have you ever seen a condition that women face and you say to yourself, there ought to be a law against it? Like, suppose you are discriminated against because you're pregnant. Do you think that should be considered sex discrimination? Well, guess what? The law doesn't. It's true.
There is no constitutional right against pregnancy discrimination. It's not considered to be discrimination against women. Neither is violence against women considered to be discrimination against women. I could give you a long list of all the kinds of everyday things that happen to women that are not considered to be unconstitutional. Now, a couple of decades ago, there were a lot of women that tried to do something about that. They tried to create an equal rights amendment. It failed. So now we're starting over, and we're creating a new equal rights amendment. But here's something that's different about this one. The first one was just about equal rights for women, and we know that's important, but that's not enough. This is now the intersectional Equal Rights Amendment. It protects against discrimination on the basis of gender, pregnancy, and on the basis of race, ethnicity, sexuality, and faith, and any other like grounds. Does that sound good to you? So if you want to do that, we want you to join us at the Equal Rights Coalition. 75 organizations across the United States representing most of the major women's organizations are part of that, and we want you to join us. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's stand over here, Leah. Wonderful. Good evening. It's so much work, right? It's so exciting. And no contribution is too small, but each of us can and must do more. So my name's Andrea Mercado. I'm a co-founder of the National Domestic Workers Alliance and a co-chair of the We Belong Together campaign. And We Belong Together is a campaign of women for fair immigration policies. And the Domestic Workers Alliance started that campaign with NAPOF because so many domestic workers are immigrant women. And right now in this moment, immigrant women, Black, brown, API, Muslim, immigrants, and refugees are facing an unprecedented level of assault. As early as Monday, President Trump may rescind DACA, taking away protections from deportation for up to 800,000 immigrant youth. So we really urge all of you to stand with us, to stand up for immigrant families. Please, we have a table back there. Text women to 97779. And it's a huge honor for me to introduce Leah Callazo, the daughter of a proud domestic worker. Leah is here from Miami and has some important words to share with you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Leah Callazo. I'm 11 years old, and I'm from Miami, Florida. I am here today to tell the new president that us girls are strong and that we will defend our immigrant mothers and community from hate. We are here to stay. As a kid, I fear of being separated from my mother every day. It's not fair, it breaks my heart. However, as part of We Belong Together campaign, I know that my family is not alone. We are a community of women and kids who love each other. Now us kids also want to do our part and protect our mothers just as they protect us. That is our... Wait. Sorry. That is why I will be coming back to DC on President's Day weekend. Along with many other kids from my community on a bus to tell Trump that immigrants are welcome here. I invite the kids in your community to take action locally on President's Day weekend so we can send a message of love. But make this action happen. Please donate to our We Belong Together campaign. That gives the chance to kids like me to have a voice and grow up to be strong, smart, and brave women. My mother and all who marched today in DC and all over the world. We belong together! I also want to thank my mother for taking care of me and protecting me. This is for you, Mom.
All right, it is very, very, very hard to follow that. We have 4 amazing groups left. Welcome Native Voices Network to the stage.
I'm Betty Washte, Wambli Shinawi Emachiapi, Chante Washte Nape Chiyuzapeya. My name is Sarah Eaglehart, and I am a member of the Oglala Lakota Nation. Thank you. From Pine Ridge, South Dakota, was born there and grew up, which is a member of the Oceti Shakowee. And it's really, really hard to follow that beautiful little girl, but I wanted to say that as, us, we brought together over 1,000 women marching today, and with over 30 communities nationally with Indigenous Women Rise today. And I want to remind you that the first peoples of this land welcomed everybody here. And we still strongly believe in that, in welcoming our community, and being here today, we also knew that our ancestors were with us today, marching today and singing with us. So I wanted to share that as I'm coming here to be a member of the Indigenous Women Rise Collective.
I'm Chrissy Castro. I'm a citizen of the Navajo Nation. I want to respect the Indigenous peoples whose land we're on, the Piscataway Nation. Native women were feminists before there was such a word. We had matrilineal, matrilocal communities. We owned land. We held high positions of leadership. We made important decisions on behalf of our communities, and I think it's high time that we return to that status of women in this country. We're here on behalf of Indigenous Women Rise. Our time is short, but what we want to say is that we stand with you and we want you to stand with us. We stand for clean water, we stand for clean air, we stand for the protection of our sacred lands. And we want to stay connected with you. I know that you all are supporting Standing Rock, and we are in love with the fact that the whole world has come behind Standing Rock, but we're also here to say that Standing Rock is everywhere. If you care about Standing Rock, care about the sacred sites issues that are happening in your own backyard, connect to Indigenous peoples. Connect with us on Facebook, facebook.com/Indigenous Women Rise. And we're here, we want to connect with you, we love you. We thank you so much for standing in solidarity with us. Thank you.
Hey, y'all.
Hey.
Hi. Hi. My name is Kiara Johnson. I'm the Executive Director of URGE, Unite for Reproductive and Gender Equity. We work with young people between the ages of 18 and 30, working to engage them politically and culturally around issues of sexual health, reproductive rights, and gender justice. I've been talking a lot today, so I wanted to share with you some words from a young feminist that we work with after the Women's March in Alabama. She writes on Facebook, "Trans women are women. Sex work is work, real work. Women are people and important outside of their romantic and familial relationships. Young people deserve to be recognized. And if you aren't calling out oppression by name, I'm not sure what you're doing." I'm really glad so many people showed up in Birmingham's Sister March. That part was amazing. And I'm so excited for the energy of newly engaged activists. I just wish y'all were showing up for all of us and not just the acceptable women. We are about investing in young people. If you want to be a part of that work, I hope you would. Please visit us on our Twitter, which is urge_.org. My communications person would be really happy right now. And then, okay, quick action. Text Women's March to, wait for it, 52886. If you sing it, you'll remember. 52886. Women's March, you're here. So that's easy, right? 52886. This is, I got time, okay. And it's about HR 7. If anyone knows what intersectionality is, our opposition does. In the House, right now, they are trying to pass a bill that would prevent poor women of color from being able to use their insurance to access abortion services. It's called HR 7. Text 52886.
Okay. Hey folks, my name's Travis. I'm an organizer with NARAL Pro-Choice America. And first of all, I want to thank you for providing the leadership that I can follow and the messages and campaigns that I can take in the spaces I have the privilege to be in. And for those of you who don't know NARAL Pro-Choice America, we don't operate clinics, we don't litigate in the courts, we organize. Men for Choice campaign is one of them. I want to talk about the 4 issues that we focus on. Y'all who know NARAL, we focus a lot on birth control access and abortion access, not just because it's reproductive freedom, but because these issues are sometimes some of the biggest economic decisions we will make in our lifetimes. I also want to talk about pregnancy non-discrimination, because we do not all have the luxury of winning the Good Boss lottery. But I most want to talk about paid family leave, because our opposition's biggest flaw is they don't care about families, especially after you start one. Now, thanks to NARAL, in one generation, I have been able to go, and my family has been able to go, from my mom, who could not take off to get her prenatal care and had to go back to work 2 days after giving birth to me, to me, her son, being able to, thanks to the mentorship of NARAL Pro-Choice America, playing a role in passing the most progressive paid family leave legislation in the country right here in Washington, D.C. Now, I'm going to leave you all with an action. You all want something tangible. I'm not going to tell you to text anything, although that was on my list. This Monday, the 23rd at 6 p.m., you all have a chance to be a part of NARAL's remote phone bank team. We made progress in some states in this election. In Nevada now has a fully pro-choice state legislature. We need to tell those elected officials it's time to pass some pro-choice bills. So I want you to visit, sign up tonight at tinyurl, like tiny hands, tinyurl.com/reprocalls. Again, tinyurl.com/reprocalls. I want to hear all of you on our training and be part of our remote phone bank team to pass pro-choice legislation in 2017.
All right, I'm the last thing standing between you, the bar, dessert, and all the great organizations that you heard from this evening. But first, I want you to give yourselves a round of applause for staying. It's been a long day. Awesome. As you heard earlier, my name is Tracy Sturdivant, and I'm one of the co-founders and co-directors of an organization, a campaign actually called Make It Work. We believe that, hardworking people should not have to choose between being there for your family and being at work. And we have built a community of people who believe just that. We've been fighting for policies like ensuring that families have access to affordable, quality childcare. I don't know. Equal pay for equal work. I don't know about you, but I want my whole dollar. Create a paid family and medical leave program that enables working people to take time off when their kid is sick or their parent is sick or, heaven forbid, you're sick. And raising the minimum wage to at least $15 an hour and people having the ability to earn paid sick days. So here's how you can get involved in our campaign. First, visit our table to sign our pledge to ensure that we hold Donald Trump and his administration accountable on these issues. That'll also get you on our email list so you can be a part of our movement to stop Trump and actually get good policies passed at both the state and local level, because this is not just about what's happening here in DC. This is about what happens when you go home. So we want to talk about what you can do when you get home. We want you to get loud. You know, I joked about being on Facebook and Twitter, but there's something to it. I mean, he's clearly tweeting, so we need to get at it too. And while we're at it, we want you to tell us your stories. What do you do to make it work day in and day out? So we can take those stories, lift it up. We need people to hear that we are not experiencing these issues alone. You know, as the great philosopher Michael Jackson once said, "You are not alone." So we want to hear from you. We want to hear your stories. We want to be able to tell your stories, amplify that, right? So finally, you know, it is really important that people understand that these issues, you know, we're fighting for you. This is not just about the issues that are going to make the Ivanka Trumps of the world, you make it a little easier for them. It's about how we ensure that you don't just make a decent living, that we actually have decent lives. So I want you to go over to our table, sign up so we can make you a part of the community moving forward. All right, just a couple of closing notes. I want to say a special thank you to the team who actually helped organize this event. As you can imagine, you know, trying to get 500 plus women in a room after the type of day that we had today was not insignificant. So huge thank you to the visionary Ai-jen Poo. Huge thank you to the visionary Ai-jen Poo. Vanessa Fernandez from the National Domestic Workers Alliance. Where's Vanessa? Vanessa, you still in the room? Oh, I see. Don't be shy. Stand up, girl. Lisa Adler from Caring Across Generations. Where's Lisa? Lisa. And Alicia J from Make It Work. Great. After the election, and when they announced the march, we're like, we gotta do something. We've gotta be able to sort of harness the power and energy that we knew that you guys, you women, were gonna have today. So thank you for coming. Make sure you go and visit the tables. Make sure you get dessert. Make sure you visit the bar. Don't let this moment pass. Turn this moment into a movement. Thank you.